Hey, 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 welcome to week number 3 of our virtual book club. We are talking about the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I hope you're joining me in this and that you're reading along because I can't give you everything that's in this book, but it's so much yumminess that will help you on your journey to being successful. Now, in this book, he talks about riches and he talks about it in the form of money, which is a great thing to have, right? But it doesn't have to be money that you're trying to figure out. It could be contentment, a peace of mind. Maybe you want power or fame, whatever it is, your riches. The principles that he shares in this book can help you obtain them. Now, the first week that we did this, it was just the introduction. But there were so many nuggets in that introduction that I had to do a video on that. Last week, we actually got into the principles, and it was the first principle that was introduced, and that was the principle of desire. Like Napoleon Hill said, you have to have a burning desire. Like, not just, I wish for something, I hope I can have this. No, no, no. It needs to be a burning desire in your belly saying, this is what I'm going to have. And when obstacles come your way, you can't let them deter you. If you recall, I talked about the army that set their boats on fire. Like their captain said, no, either we win or we perish. There's no going back. We're going to keep moving forward until we get what it is that we want. There was a story, though, that I did not share with you, and this was one about Napoleon Hill. He said that his son was born without ears, so he was deaf and a mute. But Napoleon Hill refused to accept that for his child, and he kept saying, no, he's going to hear one day. And he kept telling his child that too. And eventually, his son was able to hear. Now, it wasn't just because he said it, it was because he believed that it could happen. And the belief was because of his faith. So he trusted that he was going to have a son who one day was going to be able to hear. He believed that it was in his heart. And I wanted to share this one line out of the book because it really stuck with me. It said, every adversity brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. Every adversity brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. So just because something isn't the way we want it to be or how we would think it should be, doesn't mean that it's bad. Every adversity can lead to something great. I love to say, I heard somewhere where it said every experience that we have is neutral. We get to choose whether it's good or bad. And if we choose for it to be good, then we're coming from that perspective, and then we can do some amazing things. So because Napoleon Hill did not, one, allow himself to believe that his son would not hear, but he believed that he did. And even with the technology that his son had to use to one day hear, he was able to achieve some wonderful things that was beyond what his father had imagined for himself. So I just wanted to share that with you. Now, I also shared last week 6 practical steps dealing with desire. And I'm not going to go through all of them because I don't want this to, well, I will go through them, but I'm not going to talk about them too much. I'll just give them to you. Fix your mind on whatever it is that you want to have. The second one is to determine what you're willing to give up for it. What are you willing to sacrifice? Number 3, come up with a time. Set a definitive date as to by when this is going to happen. Number 4, create a plan and say what it is that you're going to do to make this happen. Number 5, write a statement that includes all of that. So write a statement that says what your plan is, by when, what it is that you want to achieve, and then what you're willing to sacrifice. And then number 6 is to read that statement twice a day, in the morning when you wake up and once before you go to bed. Okay, so that's that. And there was another thing in here, and I'm just trying to find this. It says, I love this quote too. Oh my gosh. Our only limitations are those we set up in our minds. Our only limitations are those we set up in our minds. We can do whatever we want to do. We can be whoever we want to be. We can have whatever we want to have. We just have to believe it for ourselves. And so I am so excited because that really takes us right into the second principle that we'll be talking about. And that principle is faith. That's the second step towards riches. Now, before I go further and talk about this any deeper, I just want to read the first paragraph because I thought it was pretty powerful. Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmit it to the infinite intelligence, as in the case of prayer. So I typically don't talk about frequencies and vibrations and things of that nature. But what I will say about this, because I am a believer in it, and I do know, like, if you have low vibrational things such as doubt, shame, guilt, that's going to keep you down here. That's low frequencies. And the things that you're going to attract are those low frequency things, right? And so when they say like attracts like, that's what they're talking about. So I try to stay up with vibrational things that's going to bring me up here at a higher frequency. That's the love. That's the joy. Like when you're in those spaces, that's where you're going to attract more of those. And that's what we want, because we want to stay up here and not be down there. But when you're at these higher vibrations, that's when you get to the place of believing and knowing that you can have everything that you want. Faith is a state of mind which may be induced or created by affirmation or repeated instructions to the subconscious mind. So how many of you do affirmations? Those I am amazing. That's what that says back there, right? I am beautiful. I am enough. Those affirmations, repeated repetition of affirmations of orders to your subconscious mind is the only known method of voluntarily development of emotional faith. Now, I will say this because I do believe in affirmations. I remember seeing Joel Osteen once on Super Soul Sunday, and he said, anything that you put after I am is going to come looking for you. I talk about this in my book, but it is so true. So if you say I am amazing, then amazing things are going to come after you, right? But if you say I am broke, guess what? I'm just saying. So it's important that whatever I am, whatever you put after that, that is something that you want to be and become. And when you say it enough to yourself, subconsciously, you will begin to believe it for yourself. So that's why affirmations are so powerful, because your mind will start believing exactly what you said. Your belief or your faith is the element which determines the action of your subconscious mind. So I want to read this, and this is just a reminder, but this is what it says about faith. Faith is the eternal elixir which gives life, power, and action to the impulse of thought. Faith is the starting point of all accumulation of riches, whatever those are for you. Faith is the basis of all miracles and all mysteries which cannot be analyzed by the rules of science. Faith is the only known antidote for failure. Faith is the element, the chemical which, when mixed with prayer, gives one direct communication with the infinite intelligence. Faith is the only agency which, through the cosmic force of infinite intelligence, can be harnessed and used by man. And then this is the last one. Faith is the element which transforms the ordinary vibration of thought created by the finite mind of man into its spiritual equivalent. And I kind of talked about that before, but when you're on that spiritual level, then, the universe is kind of connecting to you and attracting, or at least communicating with you in that sense. There's some things in here. I'm not going to go through all of this because, one, I don't want to keep you too long, but there is a formula in this chapter that's a self-confidence formula. So some of this stuff we haven't talked about, but I think you will still be able to get the gist and be able to appreciate this, even though I'm skipping over some things. But this is the self-confidence formula. First, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment. And I here and now promise to render such action. So that's the first part of the formula. Second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person. Now, thoughts are things, and thoughts do create your reality. So you have to be mindful of the things that you think about. So what you want to be, you be, right? If you want to be an amazing person, put that on. Start wearing that. Be an amazing person. Act as though it is already. The third thing, it says, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, which we have not talked about, but we'll talk about that next week. Any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I would devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Fourth, I have clearly written down a description of my chief, no, that's wrong, of my chief aim in life, and I will never stop trying until I have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. And the only thing that I'll say here is that we know confidence gets built when you do things over and over and over again. Even if you failed at the beginning and then you actually achieve something, the more you do it, the more confidence you build up for yourself. So this is just saying that you're not going to stop trying until you build that self-confidence that you need to attain whatever it is that you want. And the last thing is I fully recognize or realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice, truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because my willingness to serve others. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, and selfishness by developing love for all humanity. Because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. And then you're to sign your name to that formula and commit it to memory and repeat it aloud once a day. And that, with full faith, it will influence your thoughts and actions gradually. So that is the beginning of this part about faith. It still is a lot of pages. I don't know that I'll come back and talk about it. I think that kind of captures it enough. But I really, really want you to read this so you can read some of the stories, because when you read some of these stories, then you're able to connect with the principle. But I just want to say to you, one, if nothing else, believe. Believe in the impossible. Just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean that it can't. And just know that anything that you can dream up, you can achieve for yourself. Trust that. And so it's funny because just this week I was reading from my book. I was doing a video for Facebook, and I did my chapter called I'm Choosing Faith. How ironic that that's what we're talking about this week in Think and Grow Rich. But it's really not ironic. It really isn't. This is just how the universe works. But it really is something when you can put your trust in something and believe. So this week, just think about what it is that you want. How can you have deeper faith, right? My faith, I tell you this, before I went to, I believe in God. But it wasn't until I went through cancer, the first time, the second time, I don't know, both times, that I recognized how strong my faith was, because I couldn't do anything but surrender and believe that, God's will was going to be done. And if it was meant for me to be a survivor, to be a thriver, then it was going to happen. And I did what I needed to do. I believed that it was going to happen. I did not believe that my time was up. Not at that point. I knew that there was still more for me to do, and I believe that. So, it's something about when your faith is tested, but you just stand strong on it, and know that it should not, it can waver, but, just don't let it disappear. I guess that's the thing that I would share with you. But again, principle number 1, or step 1, was desire. Number 2 is to have faith. So you can see it, feel it, believe it to be like whatever that it is you want, whatever it is that you want to have for yourself. All right, gotta go because I know the video only can be so long for YouTube. So take care. Bye-bye.